Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host, Gershwin, and you are watching One Mind Syndicate. Today we continue talking about the Imperial Guard as we get into one of the worst losses that the Imperium had ever faced. It happened during the Sabbath World Crusade on the planet of Parthenope. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K content every single day. And if you have any suggestions for other Imperial engagements, just comment down below and we'll try to create a video for you. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the worst Imperial loss. General Onodor was a senior Imperial military commander who was involved in one of the worst defeats of Imperial forces during the Sabbath World's Crusade. Onodor and his troops met their ultimate fate on the fiercely contested world of Parthenope. It was here that one of the most notorious magisters of the entire campaign, Cooks of the Islands, created a disaster that would befall the Emperor's servants. After the crushing defeat suffered by the forces of chaos at Belhud, Cooks' forces had to withdraw from the system and reconsolidate upon the contested world of Parthenope. The Crusade's high command charged General Onodor, commanding 20 divisions of the Imperial Guard, to retake this world. Some Imperial historians believe that Onodor may have been complacent following the great victory at Belhud only 2 years earlier, and that he believed that the Chaos forces' morale and will to fight had been efficiently broken. If so, it was a misjudgment and would have terrible consequences, for Magister Cox ordered a feint, and his troops' line appeared to collapse under the initial Imperial assault. But this was merely a ruse. Coaxing the Imperial troops into an advance across the Caterat Highlands, the Magister's forces then encircled and outflanked Onodor's troops. Beset from all sides, Onodor sent desperate astropathic requests for assistance, and began an attempt to withdraw his forces down the highlands and into the towns Toronon and Silax. A single Imperial Guard division, comprised of the Samothrace 4th, the 2nd Mennonite, and the 23rd and 26th Baldachan Fusilier regiments, found itself cut off from the rest of the retreating forces. Standing their ground in the Besh Valley, the Valiant Guard division was annihilated by a sustained 5-hour chaotic artillery bombardment. Onodor managed to secure one of the towns, but failed to hold Silax, which the Magister's forces savagely razed during their advance. Onodor's troops were besieged for 3 solar weeks. Their hopes were temporarily raised when the Adeptus Mechanicus managed to send in support in the form of Titans. But these were soon dashed, as Cooks utilized a large number of chaotic war engines provided to him by one of the traitor Titan legions. The Mechanicus reinforcements were utterly destroyed after a ferocious 9-day battle, and Onodor's troops were ultimately slaughtered to the last man. Many fed as living sacrifices to the hunger of the blood god Khorne. The details of the final fate that befell Onodor and his remaining troops were quickly suppressed by the Inquisition for morale reasons. Emboldened by his bloody triumph, Magister Cooks sent his warships and pursued the destruction of the components of the Crusade fleet that had brought the hapless Onodor and his allies to Parthenope. This was the 3rd largest single fleet engagement in the Sabbath World's campaign, and resulted in a total victory for the forces of chaos. The outcome of this large fleet action created the vast Antioch debris field, which remains a sad memory of the fallible human weakness of hubris. The ultimate fate of Cooks of the Islands during the Sabbath World's Crusade remains completely unknown. And those were 40 facts on the loss at Parthenope. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to share it with your friends on Reddit or Facebook. Now, I wanted to create this video specifically because I wanted to talk about including failure, flaws, and losses into the lore of your army. If you are creating lore for your unique 40K army, it's very important to not only include the victories, but also the losses. It adds depth to your lore that I feel that a lot of people have been missing. I understand that if you create an army, whether it's Space Marine, Orcs, Imperial Guard, you want to talk about how badass they are. Obviously, you're building them, you're painting them, you're putting in your time, your sweat, sometimes your blood, because X-Acto knives are crazy. Make sure that when you're creating the lore to this awesome army that you're building, you're not making them seem too unrealistic. Even though the Orcs are supposed to be the toughest, even though Space Marines are the pinnacle of human warriors, that doesn't mean that they're not going to lose battles. That doesn't mean that they're not going to lose men. Actually, including those losses and including all those flaws, all those failures, gives the army a realness that I think has been lacking in some of the lore that we've been getting sent to us. The best fan-made lore that I have read has come from individuals who usually have a character or a unit that has a particular flaw. That flaw causes them to lose something very special to them, and then they change because of that. It is that change that usually turns a simple story into something amazing. And some examples of that can be as simple as taking race flaws that each individual race has already been established with within the 40K lore and running with it. So, for example, if you are creating a Space Marine army and they are the successor chapter to the Blood Angels, you have the Red Thirst to tie into your chapter and have them have the flaw of the Red Thirst, make them lose a battle because of the Red Thirst, and then their challenge to overcome the Red Thirst becomes the focal point of the lore, or it becomes another level to the lore that adds depth to that Space Marine chapter. The best example of that is the Flesh Terrors. The Flesh Terrors are so badass because of their flaw. If you're creating an orc army, orcs have clans, and those clans, on top of the fact that they're unique, they have flaws. For example, the Blood Axe clan. The Blood Axe clan usually tends to work with other races. They tend to be like mercenaries. Eventually, they're going to end up betraying whatever race hired them to do a certain job, because that's just what orcs do. But add that into the lore of your clan, and all of a sudden your orc army has a arch rival in the form of the old race that they used to work with. So, for example, if they used to work with a Tau army and they betrayed the Tau, and now that Tau Sept world has been on a quest to destroy your orc army, you all of a sudden created a depth to the lore of your army that makes it more just entertaining, because now they have a rival. And rivalries are very important, especially when you're creating losses. In the example that I just gave you with this lore video, it is the Magister Cux that ends up becoming the supervillain and becomes the individual that you're trying to destroy. So now your army's goal, your army's purpose is to destroy this specific, whether it's a Chaos Renegade, whether it's a Orc War Boss, whether it's like a Tau Dynasty. You have a supreme enemy. You might be battling other armies on the tabletop, but eventually your regiment or your Space Marine chapter is fighting for the sole purpose of getting to that arch enemy that you've created in your lore through a terrible loss. Maybe that that Inquisitor that destroyed your Chaos army that one time, or reduced it to a man, is out there still, and your army is trying to find him and destroy him. So I hope this kind of like gives you some ideas as to how you can twist failures into your own unique lore. If you do create your own lore, let us know, or if you want to share it with us, send it to us, whether it's on Facebook or our email address, and we can create a video for you. But again, I hope all of this helps you create your own lore, and I hope it's entertaining. If you do enjoy our content, don't forget we have a Patreon, link down in the description below. It's a simple $1 a month, and it helps us continue to create videos for you guys and talk about the lore of Warhammer 40K. I know when you're dealing with something like Warhammer 40K, there are a lot of reasons why people continue to play, and I think the individuals who really focus on the history, the lore, and just the cool mythology of 40K usually tend to really appreciate these videos, and I hope you guys enjoy. Like, comment, subscribe. Talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwin with One Mind Syndicate signing out.
Oh, refuse to put my freedom first in any situation.